And we're back with more Reset. I'm Sasha-Ann Simons. To explore some of the most historic, most breathtaking, most memorable Chicago buildings, you usually need to pay for a ticket. Though, let's be honest, many of those buildings aren't open to the public at all. But this weekend, the doors are wide open. That's because it's the Chicago Architecture Center's annual Open House Chicago, the fast pass into iconic landmarks and spaces that are often off limits to the likes of you and me. Now, Open House Chicago is a free festival featuring more than 170 buildings, from the Federal Reserve Bank in the Loop to the Walt Disney House and Birthplace in Hermosa to the Gibbons Castle in Beverly. So here to tell us more about how sites are selected and what to expect from the festival is Adam Rubin, Senior Director of Public Engagement at the Chicago Architecture Center. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks for having me, Sasha.
Welcome back, I should say. It's been a while, right?
Long time.
So I kind of teed it up for you there, Adam, but for people who have never been to this, right? What is Open House Chicago?
Open House Chicago is a festival that the Chicago Architecture Center puts on every October. And it's an opportunity to get a behind-the-scenes look at buildings all across the entire city. We have, again, over 170 buildings this year. That's in 20 different neighborhoods. It's a whole bunch.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. So how do you choose which buildings to include? Where do you start?
Well, there's a number of buildings that come back every single year. We're generally tend to be, in the loop every single year. We're in neighborhoods like Bronzeville and Pilsen repeatedly. But we also try to circulate through different neighborhoods that maybe have taken a few years off, maybe a place that we haven't spent a lot of time before. So what we do is we'll kind of think about what are the places that Chicagoans want to see, what are buildings that maybe became recent landmarks. And we do some outreach, and we reach out to old friends who've repeated several times.
Yeah. So, like you said, some come back, and then of course you have some new ones, which we'll dig into in a moment. But is there a specific criteria that you look for? Is it more about architecture, or is it historical significance, or maybe both?
It's a great question. It's both of them for sure. We are the Architecture Center, but we want to focus specifically on what makes Chicago an incredible community. A lot of these places are going to be world famous architectural sites. Some of them are really only going to be known by people who live in a particular neighborhood. So we focus on historical sites, architectural sites, cultural sites. And what we really want people to do is to go into a space that inspires them with a sense of awe. There should be something visual that you experience when you go inside, and ideally also something that the general public wouldn't get to see. So if it's a building like the Willis Tower, for example, we'd be able to bring people into spaces that are generally off limits to the general public, even though you could walk in the lobby. Exactly.
That would make a lot of sense. And so you got 25 new sites added this year for the first time. Give us a sneak peek. What do we got?
Well, we've got some wonderful ones. One of the ones I'm particularly excited about this year is we have the Willie Dixon Blues Heaven Foundation, which is more popularly known as Chess Records Office and Studios.
Yes.
This has never participated in Open House Chicago before.
We've talked about Chess Records on the program, but I've yet to see things in person.
This is a very cool space on the near south side. What you're going to be able to see is you'll see Leonard Chess's office, preserved as it looked back in the day. You're also going to see the recording studio where folks like Chuck Berry and Etta James and Muddy Waters all made the iconic songs that we all know.
The Rolling Stones, too.
The Rolling Stones named a song after 2120 South Michigan. This all happened in this room. The control booth is there. It's breathtaking.
Oh, my goodness. You got a bunch here. I have a short list. We've got Ramova Theater.
Yeah, the Ramova Theater, which was closed since 1985 until recently. But now it's been beautifully restored. It's now a concert venue, really just an anchor in the Bridgeport neighborhood. And it's a knockout, especially if you love atmospheric theaters like the Avalon New Regal in South Shore, or, of course, the Music Box in Southport. This is another one of the theaters that has kind of the midnight sky above you, kind of surrounded by this romantic architecture in the main auditorium. It's great.
This one surprised me. Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf Theater. I thought you had featured them in Open House before.
Sometimes it's so familiar that you're surprised that they've never done it before. Yeah, and the Steppenwolf just finished a major expansion by the firm of Smith and Gill. So we're going to be showing people kind of the addition onto the space, how Steppenwolf has evolved. We'll have some folks from the theater able to welcome people in and give a tour and kind of talk about why this established theater company needed to expand in what the public can expect with the new space.
Yeah, you've got one of the oldest mosques in the country, which is over 100 years old. It's called the Al Sadiq Mosque in Bronzeville on the list as well. And Blackstone Branch Library, the first Chicago Public Library branch. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow, that's a great list there. So lots of buildings all over the city taking part. Obviously, Adam, it would be difficult for someone to hit all 170, 170 plus, I
Some
should say.
people have tried.
How do you recommend people approach the list?
There's so many different ways. This is basically the choose your own adventure of festivals. Nobody experiences it the same way unless you're traveling with one other person, maybe somebody you live with. There's many different ways. One way is you can pick a neighborhood that is on the other side of the city from where you live that you've just heard about and never had the chance to really experience it. And we would encourage people to go and try to see 3 or 4 different sites in a neighborhood, get a cup of coffee, go shopping, kind of walk through a park in that neighborhood, really get to know it. Another way you can do it is many of us are busy and we're running off to work or school and we never see what's in our own neighborhood. We've walked past that church or that theater 1,000 times and always wondered what's inside. This is a great chance to be able to slow down on a Saturday or Sunday and just walk around your own neighborhood and get to know it a little bit better.
I understand the Architecture Center has even put together tour itineraries, right?
Yeah.
They're based on themes.
Yeah. So if you're somebody who loves theaters or you love banks, we'd be able to kind of collect up everything, aggregate all 170 sites and pull out just those. We've spoken to certain tastemakers in neighborhoods like Humboldt Park, like Pilsen, like Little Village, and be able to say, okay, as a local, what are the sites that you want people to see in your neighborhood? And also, you know, that not everybody's just staying in their own neighborhood. Some of these folks love the rest of Chicago, so they're going to pick their favorite things to give you a little bit of a curated taste.
If you're just tuning in, this is Reset. I'm Sasha-Ann Simons, and we are talking about the 2-day Architecture Festival, Open House Chicago, which is back. It's going to run from October 19th to 20th. And we've got in studio Adam Rubin, who's Senior Director of Public Engagement at the Chicago Architecture Center, which organizes all the fun. Now, in addition to visiting these iconic Chicago landmarks and exploring all the spaces, there are also activities that people can catch a lot of these, right?
Sure. Yeah. Sites will oftentimes activate their space. So rather than just poking your head inside, looking around, and then 5 minutes later walking out, we want people to stick around. For example, if you were to go to Graceland Cemetery and Arboretum in the Uptown neighborhood, which is often open to the public, you'd be able to go there and make paper marigolds for Dia de los Muertos Ofrendas in partnership with the National Museum of Mexican Art, who will be on site that day. You can go to the National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture and take salsa lessons.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, I saw something about a glass blowing demo too, live music.
All kinds of things. Walking tours down in Pullman. You'll be able to take walking tours at the historic Pullman Foundation. People are so eager to show off their spaces and to welcome folks in, and especially places where it might be a house of worship or a spot that regular folks who aren't a member of a congregation might feel uncomfortable walking in. This is a perfect opportunity to be able to go in and explore and truly feel welcome and part of the community.
That's a great point. There's a photo competition too.
We've never done one before.
Tell me more.
So we borrowed this idea from some of the other open houses that happen around the world. But this year we're going to have a photo contest, and we're making it really accessible. This is not just for the professional photographers to come in and send their best work to us. This is for anybody who's got a camera on their phone. We'll have categories like interior, exterior, black and white, detail, really, really general stuff. And what we're encouraging people to go do is go out and explore, show us what Open House Chicago looks like to you, send in your best shots, and we're going to have a small exhibit up during the holiday season at the Architecture Center of some of our favorite shots collected.
Amazing. What skill level are we looking for here?
Any skill level.
So I can do it? Okay.
I can do it too.
There are 4 categories to compete in: interior, exterior, architecture, detail, and black and white. I mean, what do the winners get here?
We'll be able to give out some small prizes to folks who are coming. Bragging rights for sure. Being able to drag your family down to the Architecture Center of the holidays and say, that's mine.
There's so much on offer, Adam. What are you especially looking forward to? I got to ask. I mean, any buildings on your list this year?
Yeah, I can mention one. One that I'm really excited about is the Greater Tabernacle Cathedral down in Roseland, which for the folks who don't know is right next to the Pullman neighborhood, which is one of our featured neighborhoods this year. This is a really cool site because it just became a Chicago landmark earlier this year. It's a building that was from 1890, designed by Salon Beeman, the same architect who designed all of the Pullman Company town. But also important in this story is that this is where a young community organizer named Barack Obama started his career by having a field office in the rectory very, very early on when he was a young man working around the neighborhood. That's included in the landmark nomination this year, but it's also a really important part of this neighborhood's story. And I know the congregation is really excited to show this off to folks and to be able to tell the story of this incredible building and what's happened there over a century. So I'm definitely encouraging folks to go check that out.
That is awesome. What is it that you hope Open House Chicago inspires in people?
I want people to be excited about Chicago. I want them to be excited about living here. I want them to show it off to people. I want them to get involved in
All
the city.
too much, I hear it so often from folks like that they don't know other neighborhoods. Mind you, we've got, 77 of them? So it can get tough. But I hear people from, north side, south side, east side, west side, they all say, I haven't really explored all around my city. This is such a great way to do that.
It's great. It's a great way to do it. And it's you don't have to feel like a tourist in doing it. This really is
where I never go downtown. I hear that a lot, too, from people.
And downtown's an easy one because there's so much to see downtown. A lot of our audience just comes and just spends the weekend downtown. But I do want people to say that that this is comfortable. This is the whole city is their city, regardless of whatever imagined boundaries people feel there are. This is a chance to be able to meet new people, talk to other people who are participating in the festival, and really build that feeling of engagement.
I love that. So each site has its own hours, but where can people find out more information, Adam?
The best way to do this is to download the Chicago Architecture Center app. It turns into an Open House Chicago app during this year, and that's where it's going to list all the sites, all the itineraries, hours that places are open, activities that you can do during the festival. It's all in Chicago Architecture Center app, which you can download in the App Store.
Awesome. That's Adam Rubin, who's Senior Director of Public Engagement at the Chicago Architecture Center. So you can find out more about Open House Chicago, including what buildings are participating, and there are a lot of them, so you'll have plenty of choice, and open hours at architecture.org. Thank you so much for stopping by, Adam.
Thank you for having me.